Chapter 5, Hidden Talent. Mireille exhaled slowly, her strength still fragile, but her mind clear. She had received safety, care, and a place to heal, but deep down, she knew they couldn't stay. She met Nathaniel's gaze, steady despite her weakness. "I am deeply grateful. But we cannot stay here." Eva hesitated beside her, adjusting her daughter in her arms. She wasn't ready to leave. Not yet. But Nathaniel didn't flinch, his response measured and calm. "Then stay until you recover. No rash decisions. When the time comes, you'll know what to do." Mireille opened her mouth to protest, but something in his tone, so sure, so composed, made her pause. And she accepted. For now. A new routine. They were moved to the west wing of the mansion, a secluded space with its own entrance, offering them privacy without completely cutting them off from the rest. Moreover, mealtimes brought them together, as they shared their dinners in the grand house. Eva slowly found her rhythm, caring for Merville, adjusting to the unfamiliar luxury surrounding them, juggling between gratitude and uncertainty. Every evening, Eva cooked, filling the vast kitchen with warmth and familiarity amidst the unfamiliar grandeur. Mireille, though still recovering, settled at the long dining table, observing Nathaniel discreetly between bites. She hadn't fully figured him out yet, but his actions spoke louder than words. And Eva. Eva found herself watching him too, realizing how effortlessly he had made space for them in a life that, in truth, had never been meant for them. Something was shifting. But no one knew yet where it would lead. 3 months later. 3 months had passed, in quiet adaptation. The mansion had become a temporary refuge, a place where Merville thrived, where Mireille regained her strength, and where Eva finally stood firm, strong, ready, determined. But she knew it couldn't last forever. She had to take back control of her own life. That night, after dinner, she made her way toward Nathaniel's study, her thoughts clear, precise. It was time to talk about work. Time to find her independence. She knocked, waiting for permission. "Come in." Then, she pushed open the door, letting the rich scent of old books and polished wood envelop her. The discovery of a hidden talent. Nathaniel was seated at his desk, focused on a document displayed on the screen. He had enlarged it onto the giant screen, because something seemed unclear to him. But he trusted his partner and his directors. Yet, as Eva approached, her eyes caught something. A mistake. A glaring miscalculation in the figures displayed. Her mind reacted instinctively, the patterns forming, the numbers shifting into place, before her instincts confirmed the error within seconds. Because once, before everything changed, she had been studying mathematics and computer science, before pregnancy interrupted her path, before survival became more important than ambition. Without hesitation, she murmured, "This number is wrong." Nathaniel blinked, surprised, his gaze shifting from the document to her. "Excuse me?" Eva's discovery. Eva stepped closer, her gaze locked onto the numbers, her instinct sharpening. "This is wrong." Nathaniel leaned back in his chair, studying her, not just her words, but her capability, her precision, the razor-sharp mind that had just unraveled a complex financial manipulation effortlessly. "How do you know?" Eva exhaled, a fleeting flicker passing through her expression. "I was studying mathematics and computer science before everything changed." A pause. "You studied this?" Silence settled for a fraction of a second. Then, a thought shifted in Nathaniel's mind. She had caught the deception instantly. She straightened, her pulse racing. Who had drafted this contract? And why? "Nathaniel, do you realize what this contract actually does?" His brow furrowed as he shifted his gaze from her to the document. He leaned forward, scanning the numbers again, and now, with her perspective, the danger became undeniable. This wasn't an investment opportunity. It was a calculated move to strip him of his assets. Your partner didn't just make a bad deal. This was deliberate. And he didn't act alone. Someone inside your company helped him. Nathaniel's expression darkened, his jaw tightening as realization sank in. Someone close, was working against him. The weight of betrayal thickened the air. But now, thanks to Eva, he had the chance to stop it before it was too late. The battle begins, immediate action. Eva had come seeking independence. But instead, she had uncovered an internal betrayal that could cost Nathaniel everything. And now, the war had begun. Nathaniel mobilizes his legal team. Nathaniel wasted no time. His first instinct, take back control. He dialed his most trusted legal advisor, his voice sharp, precise, unforgiving. We need to review this contract. Immediately. Find every discrepancy. There's foul play. Less than an hour later, his team assembled, documents printed, digital files reviewed, whispers of alarm spreading across the offices. The truth surfaced quickly, Eva was right. The numbers weren't just wrong. They were intentionally misleading. If this contract was fraudulent, how many others had been tampered with? Eva's role expands, she becomes his unofficial analyst. Eva watched the chaos unfold, her breath steady, her mind razor-sharp. But something shifted inside her as she studied Nathaniel. He wasn't just protecting his wealth. He was fighting for everything he had built. And somehow, she was now part of that fight. Without thinking, she reached for another document, scanning the numbers as she had with the first. Another miscalculation. Another deliberate attempt to undermine him. She frowned, correcting the figures instantly. Nathaniel noticed. His gaze flickered to her, measuring, calculating. Nathaniel's realization. You have a talent for this. Eva stiffened, caught off guard. She hadn't come here to impress him. But now, this was bigger than her own plans. He studied her a second longer. Then, his decision was made. You weren't just looking for a job, Eva. You already have one. A hidden talent revealed. His gaze locked onto her, calculating, measuring something new.
You have a talent for this. Eva stiffened, caught off guard by his tone. She hadn't come here to impress him. But now, this was bigger than her own plan. He studied her for another second. Then, his decision was made. Eva, why don't you come work with me? Eva, startled, met his gaze. Actually, I came to talk to you about work. I was planning to start looking for a job and move out. Without hesitation, he replied. You already found one. What? The question echoed in Eva's mind as she stood there, still gripping the document she had corrected. What was she doing here? She had come looking for a simple job, hoping to start fresh on her own terms, not to be thrown into the center of a corporate war. This was bigger than her. Dangerous. Complicated. Uncertain. But then she thought of Wonder, Mireille, and realized something. She needed stability. And maybe, for the first time in her life, she was good at something beyond survival. She exhaled slowly, meeting Nathaniel's gaze. And in that moment, she made her choice. A threat in the shadows. The executives who had drafted the contract sensed the shift. Word spread through the company, Nathaniel was investigating. He was digging through records, tracing signatures, searching for the weak link within his inner circle. And those responsible? They realized they had underestimated him. Panic set in. This was no longer just business. It was survival. Eva had made her decision. She wasn't going to stand on the sidelines. She was going to fight. And now, the confrontation was inevitable. Nathaniel wasn't a man who lost control. Every move was calculated, every detail meticulously planned. But tonight, there would be no negotiation. The boardroom was full, executives exchanging nervous glances, uncertainty thick in the air. They had heard whispers, Duffert had discovered something. He arrived sharp, precise, unreadable, with Eva at his side. Her presence wasn't an accident. Let's not waste time. His voice cut through the tension. He tossed the contract onto the table, proof of their betrayal, confirmation of their deception. Silence stretched. Then, everything unraveled. Can you explain this? He addressed them. And please don't insult me with your lies. Eva watched as the men who had always thought themselves untouchable wavered, their carefully constructed facade crumbling before them. The numbers, the clauses, the deception, everything was laid bare. The excuses erupted. It was just a miscalculation, a simple oversight. Eva stepped forward, her gaze sharp, unwavering. A mistake happens once. This contract was designed to trap him. The tension sharpened. Because now, it wasn't just Nathaniel exposing them. It was her. And none of them had been prepared for that. The boardroom had become a battlefield. But Nathaniel had already won. His lawyers entered, armed with documented evidence. His financial team confirmed Eva's findings. The trap had failed. And now, the men who had conspired against him had nowhere left to run. You thought I wouldn't see it. That I would sign without looking. That I trusted you enough to blindly walk into ruin. He leaned forward, his presence towering, undeniable. You were wrong. The air inside the boardroom grew suffocating. The tension was no longer just discomfort, it was pure panic. Nathaniel had unraveled them, piece by piece, dismantling the careful deception they had crafted. There was nowhere left to hide. But desperation breeds recklessness. The final gamble. You don't want a scandal, Duffert. Think carefully about your next move. The financial director's voice cut through the room, his last attempt at control. Nathaniel leaned back, unshaken, unmoved. You think I fear scandal? What I fear is stupidity. And you, gentlemen, have proven yourselves catastrophically incompetent. No, worse. You're nothing but traitors. Eva stood beside him, watching how effortlessly he commanded the room, how his words seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. She had never seen this side of him before. But deep inside, a certainty was born, this wasn't just strategy. This was who he was. And for the first time, she understood the full extent of his power. The attack on Eva. They had lost control. But cornered men make reckless decisions. One of them, the most desperate, the most unpredictable, tried to shift the attention elsewhere. His gaze hardened, his tone sharp, venomous. And her? Gesturing toward Eva, what is she doing here? What exactly is her role in all of this? What does a low-level woman like her know about finance? Surely, you're not letting some illiterate stray dictate our fate. Besides, we all know she lives with you. A calculated strike. Nathaniel's anger intensified. He was about to explode, but he held himself back. Eva stiffened. Then, without hesitation, Nathaniel responded. She's the reason I didn't sign that contract. Which makes her more valuable than any of you. Silence. The impact was immediate. Eva was no longer an outsider. She was a force in this room. She had no title, but she had power. Nathaniel rose slowly, his presence crushing, relentless, absolute. Your time here is over. His words sealed their fate. No pleas. No second chances. No negotiations. One by one, their resignation letters were signed before dawn. Their fall was swift, merciless. And by morning, the company was cleansed of its corruption. And Eva, she had witnessed it all.